What if wisdom wasn't in textbooks or boardrooms, but in the stories of the women who've lived it? Today I sit down with my Nonna, not by blood, but by love and community, to share the kind of wisdom that only life can teach. Her father immigrated to Perth from Sicily in 1949, followed by her mum and sister in 1951. She was born in 1952 and grew up around Perth, surrounded by her loving Italian community. This wise woman has 5 children, 12 grandchildren, and only 16 Christmas trees. I want you to meet my Nonna Irene Miller. And like I said, Irene, we are not connected by blood at all, and yet you are so special in my heart. And I had you in my mind when I created this podcast because I know the how important, how integral you are to the Italian community. Nonnas are everything. And that's why I wanted to have you on the podcast. So welcome.
Thank you so much, Jen. It's such an honor, honestly. When you first told me what you were planning, it's just filled my heart. It's such a great way to view life. And
Yeah.
so thank you for that.
Well, I
And
wanted,
remember, I love you like one of my kids.
well, I love you like I do my Nonna. It's just, it's a thing. It's saying, and it's missing it. I didn't have a Nonna. I had grandparents. It's a different energy. It's a different energy. And I come from a very disconnected family, but I see it in, like I'm off to China in the morning and I travel all through Asia and I've traveled around Europe and places, and the non-5 kind of main Western cultures, like UK, North America, Australia, New Zealand, these kind of countries, we don't have this thing that you have. Well, we do in the indigenous cultures, but not in our kind of whitey Western culture. And I think it's a big thing that's missing, which is why I want to talk to you.
Yeah,
So I need your
yeah,
wisdom, Nonna.
yeah. Go
All
for it,
right.
Jen.
Okay. So I've noticed that whenever you speak, people stop and listen. So what is it about a Nonna's voice that makes it carry so much weight, not just in the family, but also the community? Because you say you were raised by the Italian community in Perth, not just by your family. What is it? What is it with you Nonnas?
First of all, when everyone started calling me Nonna, it was like an unusual thing. Now suddenly there's Nonna movies, there's Nonna this, there's Nonna's
Mm,
that. But definitely, a lot of how we were, as I said, I was the first one born in Australia of migrant family. So I couldn't speak English. When I went to school, I couldn't speak English. But it's how we were raised. Everything has a meaning. Everything has a feeling. So when I talk, and I don't even realize that what you said, and thank you for that nice compliment, is that it's coming from my heart.
mm.
It's coming from how I feel and how and what I've learned over my 73 years. So it's almost though you've been here in this era, and now you've come through, and it's what the Italian community, because there was a big conflict when I was growing up of like, I was Australian born, but I was never Australian. No one ever thought that I was Australian because I never ate at school because of the way what my mum would cook for me in my lunchbox, and they'd tell me it stank.
What did
So
you
as
what was given to you in your lunchbox?
Mum would make either parmigiana, she would either cook a steak and put it in all I wanted was Vegemite or sugar sandwiches.
That's what I was raised on, sugar sandwiches.
Yeah. But she couldn't understand that. So
Mm.
my lunch on my way home, there was a letterbox. It was on the corner of Aberdeen and Charles Street. It was attached to the light pole, and I'd throw my lunch away. So mum never knew, but they couldn't understand why I never grew. And I was always on tonic and vitamins and stuff like that. But this is what I'm saying. So it was that mixture, and you're trying to not say you're Italian. They'd say, oh, and they, oh yeah, but as I was getting older, they would say, oh yeah, but you're different. You're different. I'd say, no, but I'm Italian. Yes, my parents are Italian. So I wasn't Australian, wasn't Italian.
Mm.
So it was, but I know what I gravitated to and how I felt when I was in my Italian community, because we were all the same.
Mm. And you grew up with nonnas around you to
Yes.
guide you, not just your blood
No.
grandparents.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. We all lived in the same street. When my dad and my godfather knew a ship was coming in from Sicily, they'd go to the Fremantle Wharf and they'd check who was coming off the ship to help these people coming. And we all sort of lived in one long street in Fitzgerald Street. Yeah,
I love it.
yeah,
So
yeah.
how do you think that that Italian tradition, because you're listening to your nonnas and all of your whole community there, how do you think that shaped your Aussie family? Your kids are born here.
Mhm.
Like, how did that shape you? And you've influenced me. I met you, I don't know, 15 years ago, and you have a very special place in my heart. I'm serious when I talk about that. And it's like you've influenced the community, so much community everywhere where you get in contact with. How do you, like you're saying, you grew up Aussie. Was it just the way of being naturally flowed that you learned how to kind of live that way? Or was it like, wow, I'm going to anchor it? I know you didn't want the lunch, but
I
did you
did want the lunch, but I did not open
eat
my
it at school?
lunchbox. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. No,
Yeah.
I think,
How's it
uh,
shaped you and your family?
look, the boys were born Australian, and my ex-husband is English, but and that was very interesting because the difference between my ex-husband's family, their contact with the boys, opposed to my family. And they were wonderful people, don't get me wrong, and I love them dearly. But you'd go there and the you know, the grandfather would say they'd go put their arm out to because they'd say, go kiss granddad. They put their arms out, go, don't do that, boy. They had to shake hands.
Okay.
Okay. Whereas going into my family, the kids couldn't even get through the doormats. My dad would have them on the floor and they'd be kissing and laughing and rolling. And he'd be preparing for everything for these kids that couldn't go wrong. They were like little joys. My
Mm,
dad would say, you can do whatever, but don't touch my grandkids. You want to go on holiday, they stay here with us. That's the difference. That he'd wait for them if they were working and he'd say, come home and I'll make you a steak sandwich or whatever. And he'd be waiting on the front. He'd phone me at work. We didn't have mobiles in the day. He's not here yet. Dad, he'll be coming. Just wait. He'll be there. He'd have the table set, everything. The cultures were like chalk and cheese.
mm,
That the thing of children were you're seen but not heard. Well, it's opposite in Italian culture because the kids are the center. People don't go out to dinner and leave the kids. The kids are everywhere, no matter how late at night. The kids go out for dinner.
yeah.
It's
It's wildly different, isn't it?
it's wildly different, Jen. It's
Mm,
wildly different. The children are the foremost of the family.
mm,
And when the kids were with my parents and I'd come in and oh my goodness, I'd say, Mom, what are you letting them do? One would be washing dishes and flooding the floor. The other one was sitting in the middle of the table making Milo, and she'd say, they have been perfect till you walk in the door. And then I'd say, get down from there, get them up, clean that for Nonna. And they'd start crying. She'd say, what they do here is my business. So now when the kids say, my son says, how have they been? And I'd say they're perfect. He goes, Mum, it's easy to be perfect when there's no rules. I say, watch, you have a short memory. How were you treated at Nonna and Nonnas? They could do no wrong. And my grandkids are like that. They
mm.
are. Sure, I'm not going to let them, but there's no reason to tell them off because they're wonderful.
Mm.
Yeah.
They're nurtured right from the start, which is, yeah, quite different, very different to my growing up and a lot of uh, Western kind of kids. Yeah, big difference. So, how do your boys embrace, the Italian? How does that show up? The Italian culture show up in them, apart from
Oh
listening
my,
to Wise Old You.
wow. Wow, wow,
I
wow.
know
They
you
have
live
so
between
much.
Tuscany and Australia now, 6 months, 6 months.
Yeah. And they love it. My boys have a lot of their friends. I mean, they have they're involved in business, so they have a broad, sort of Australians, lots of different cultures. So my eldest son has married a girl from El Salvador.
Mm,
My other two sons have married Macedonian girls, you see? So it all works well. And
mixed
they
cultures.
they every year they make the Italian cacciatore, the pancetta. There's a whole team of boys that get together. They made like 150 kilos of sausages. They've made them twice, and they add every year they get better and better. And they give me a stash, and they give me the pancetta and the prosciutto, and they love that. They are so immersed in the Italian culture. And honestly, Jen, I am so grateful to my parents
Mm,
because they they respected and adored my parents as my parents respected and adored them.
mm,
And I cannot tell you how grateful I am for the wise and mentoring that they got from my family, from
mm.
my parents. And when they go back to Sicily, they're embraced and, they all travel. Now that we've got the house in Italy, it's just opened up this massive connection in Sicily that we have. Like my mother came from a family of seven, and her elder sister had seven sons, and they all have between 5 and 7 kids.
Wow.
That's just one. So imagine. And it's so fantastic to have that connection now. And we had our son's wedding in Tuscany, and my family, for the first time ever that we were able to share a celebration together, they all drove up from Sicily in a convoy overnight to be with us for the wedding.
Mm,
And like I said, and they don't have much, but they have everything.
mm. Yeah.
It's not about the materialistic things. It's all from here.
Yeah. That's a big difference, isn't it? So kids nowadays, and I'm not sure the difference between, I'm curious, the difference between kids in Italy, grandkids,
Yeah,
and your Aussie grandkids and stuff. Kids can look up anything on the internet nowadays.
yeah.
Do they still come to their nonna
Oh,
for like day-to-day
absolutely.
kind of stuff?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, yes. They always they always write me beautiful notes on how I've inspired them and how
Like handwritten note things?
yes, yes, yes,
See, we
yeah.
don't see that
And
here much.
yeah, and I've got it all, and it's just the most always thanking me. Not that you want to be thanked, but it's appreciation of just, you know, I can, and this journey that we've been through with this industry has taught me so much. So I can guide them. I always say, you follow your heart, not your head. Your head will fool you,
Mm,
but you follow what's in here. And if
mm,
it means enough, you never let go. And and they will say, thank you, Nonna. And they will, I want them to do what their heart feels.
mm,
And they're doing that. And it's part of the journey, part of the wisdom. I remember the words that my mum and dad would say to my boys and how it's impacted them. They didn't know what Nonno did, but all they wanted to do was become like Nonno.
yeah.
He would come in and he'd say, so what's your financial situation like? No, we don't have any money. And he'd take out, say, a $20 bill and he'd rip it in half and give one half here. And they would cack up. And then, of course, I'd have to put sticky tape on it, take it to the bank and get $2. So it was always like that,
Uh,
that,
so the nono is like the male.
yeah,
Is it in my, I don't know, maybe it's because I'm female, but I see it and I see it in the cultures like where I run my charity in Thailand and through the Asian things like, yep, the no, the wise men are there. And then, but there's something different about the nonna.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Because the nonna is the nurturer, the fixer.
Mm,
And in my family, this my dad, there were three girls, and my mum and dad met at 14, and dad went to war at 18.
mm,
And she was so devoted. They had the most wonderful love affair, Jen, till the time
mm.
they died, and they died 2 weeks apart.
Wow.
And so in our home, my dad was always number one. Us girls were number two. But we all adored dad
Mm,
because my mother adored him so much. So even all the various things, he used to build motorbikes, had a motorbike mechanic shop, and and even when he was in real estate, and he'd come home, first she'd prepare dad's plate and put it aside, then we would eat. And then when he'd come home, she'd get us out of bed to sit around the table to keep him company, you
wow.
see? And
Mm,
then he would share his food again with us, half asleep, before we go. So it was that her love for him, that we adored dad.
mm,
But she was silent but powerful in everything that she did.
mm,
And her words, like I remember she used to say in a relationship, respect was far more important than love.
mm,
If you respect one another, love will grow. But if there is no respect, love can never grow. She had lots of sayings like that.
mm,
And I thought of those when my children met their partners, and I can see the way they communicate. And it makes me happy to see the way they've grown because of the way they respect. So, all these things that we had in our family, my mother, always with her apron on, always nurturing, no matter what, no matter how many people dad would drag in to have a meal with us unexpected. And the chairs were drawn, there was always food. And it's just, I'd say to her, she'd had to be home at 2 o'clock to start preparing for dad. I'd say, Ma, please, like, she'd get up at 5, make the espresso, take him a coffee and the newspaper, prepare his breakfast in bed every day. And it wasn't, my dad and my mum adored each other.
mm,
Was like a bit of a vagabond. He'd pick her up and carry her around the kitchen, and she'd be calling him every name of the son. It's the only time I ever heard her swear when she had her apron on and she was going to burn the food. But they played together.
mm,
And it was a good insight into life, into living. She
mm.
could make a meal out of a pumpkin.
When a nonna makes a meal, anyone, I could make a meal out of a pumpkin, and a nonna could make a meal out of a pumpkin, and they're going to taste entirely different.
Yeah.
And it's because you add, what's the magic
The
ingredient?
love,
The
the
love.
love.
The
Yeah.
love.
Mm.
Is it mindful? Do you mindfully go loving? Because I cook, I do the same thing because I know the effect of energy, and I'm really present when I cook to make sure I infuse love into it. Is it something mindful for you that you're when you're cooking? Because cooking is a centerpiece of your culture,
Yeah. I
food.
love cooking. For me is my zen. If I want to chill, I go in the kitchen and I start cooking. Say, for example, our eldest granddaughter came back from Melbourne for Father's Day and she was hanging out for artichokes. So I had 14 artichokes that I stuffed as stuffed artichokes. And the kids just go, oh, Mom, oh, Nonna, these are the best. And they're eating these artichokes. Or when I make whenever, I love using my hands.
Mm,
No matter what I do, I love feeling the food. My hands are always clean. Mum used to say, these are better than anything. They even when you toss a salad, other than that, you get your hands, you feel what you prepare. And it's like and tasting. You have to constantly taste. I need this, and bless this, and you constantly add. It's like an orchestra, and
Mm.
then you have a beautiful centerpiece. That it gives me joy seeing people really enjoy food, and that was my mom. She out of nothing, we had everything.
Mm.
We never had a flash thing. Dad loved going to auctions. Like I said, he was just a wild man. Just like he riding motorbikes. And as children, we used to see him, meet him. Mum would take us up to the hospital. He was bunged up or whatever. He'd be riding handlebars. And she was so the opposite. But they were just constantly in love till the day
Mm.
they died. Yeah.
What do you think happens in a community if these stories, these kind of rituals, the ritual of, the importance of food and a meal and everyone's sitting around and enjoying it and stuff like that, because that sure as hell doesn't happen nowadays. People
Yeah.
don't sit together and eat. What do you think happens to a community when those stories and lessons and ways of being aren't shared?
When they're not shared, did you say when they
Yeah,
aren't
when they're not shared, aren't shared.
disconnection? Family around the table is where people talk and no phones. And you see that in Italy now, the big observations. But if people don't come together, they're disconnecting.
Mm.
How do they know what's happened? It's such a shame because the family is like pulled apart. There's a lot of things going on today, Jen, and I think in a lot of ways in the Italian culture, it is still very much the same. Trust me, the wooden spoon will come out. You sit around the table at dinner time when there's a meal, lunches, right? You sit at the table and you're part of that, and it's where the stories are shared, where the wisdom comes out, where the taste of food. It's an education. It's an education. Um, Today, what I've seen in this new generation, since I was a young mum at home and things, is that parents are afraid of parenting. I know life is busy. I know, parents, husband and wife are working, or two partners are working, and it's easy for them to give the kids a phone or an iPad, and they sit there and they can have dinner on their lap while they're watching TV. But it's not parenting. It's
Mm.
not parenting. You're doing a huge disservice to your child. And a lot of people will have something to say about this, but what's what I see? It's
There's
what I
no
see.
connection.
Yeah, like last weekend we were at our club up the road. It was a beautiful sunset. We go up there on a Sunday. And these two children, brother and sister, were playing on the grass, and they were playing and playing and playing and playing. Anyway, it's time to go in and have a meal. And as soon as they sat down, the parents put the earphones on them and iPads,
Mm.
and they were eating like that. Instead of hearing the kids chuckling and telling them what they were fighting about or playing.
The
There's music.
parents had earphones on.
No, the
The
parents
kids
put
did.
the earphones on the children,
Right, yeah.
and maybe so they could have dinner in peace, whatever. But it's such a, yeah, and everyone's different, but it's something we've got to be mindful of. And I know sometimes parents are tired and it's easier just to let them do that. But these precious years of your children you're missing out on. And before you know it, 20, and how is that going to see when he has a family or she has a family? They do the same.
Patterns
Yeah.
repeat. It's I think it's the missing piece. I really think it's a missing piece in the Western world
I
that
agree.
we haven't carried all the rituals, and we don't have to carry all the rituals, but the simple things like I do big business deals in Asia over a meal.
Mm.
You
It's
sit and you break bread and you just talk, and that's it. It is the most important place for business meals, for
I
business transactions. It's huge. It's a different. I miss it here, and I think it's something that busy people can find a way to bring back a version of it, even if it is that the kids no devices at the table, and they'll whinge and shit for a while, won't they? But then they'll
Yeah,
get
they
used to it.
will because they're used to getting wearing down the parents, and then the
Mm,
parents give in.
yeah.
When we were in Italy, we were touched on this. The observations were wow. Like if you go down to the little cafe, a special cafe for cornetto and coffee in the morning, every business person is in there, right? And oh, this is another thing is they say un cornetto, un caffè, un cappuccino, and they make it. They don't take any money. When people are finished, they queue up and they give them, a coffee is a espresso is €1, cornetto is €1.20, cappuccino is 1.20. Then you pay them on your way out. What did you have? Oh, I had a coffee and that. On
On it,
trust.
like honesty's trust.
On trust.
Precious.
Honestly, unbelievable. But they're
Yeah.
all in there. They're all in there. They don't get a coffee and walk. Nobody walks with food.
Yeah.
Nobody eats
Community.
with food. We're all there connecting in the morning. And it's like, oh my gosh, initially the amount of times I'd run up the street and think, I haven't paid. I'd go back, I'd say I had this and this, and I'd pay.
Yeah.
And it's like you suddenly feel, people trust you. People
Mm.
trust you. And then in the afternoon, if we're sitting down having an aperitivo, because people don't have alcohol without food, and they're not allowed to serve you that. But they bring out this smorgasbord of food that sometimes I say, just a little bit because we're going to dinner, but they bring you this, they have to. And you have that, and you just watch, there might be a table of elderly gentlemen
Mm.
that might be sitting playing cards and having an espresso. They sit on this tiny espresso all afternoon. Nobody moves them on. And
Yeah.
then the younger boys come in and they drag a chair and they come next to these nonni and they all talk together and they all start laughing as though there's no age gap.
Mm. I
I
love it.
love that.
Yeah.
And on this hot summer's night in the piazza, they all come out, even some nonnies with their aprons, and they sit like this, all in a row. Kids are on their bikes or on a soccer ball till 11 o'clock, whatever, and not a drink in hand. They
Mm.
don't have a glass of wine. They just sit there and they talk. It's
They
just,
connect.
and I think, oh my gosh, what are we
Yes.
missing? We're
What's
indoors.
missing? Yeah.
We're all indoors. Everyone stays on their own.
Yeah.
And yet they're sitting there and the kids are coming, maybe having a gelato or this and that. And you're inspiring them on what life is about.
Mm.
Look forward to summer because you're all in the terrace, in the piazza. Do you see? These are the little things that grow into big things
Mm.
as the children grow because they never forget. And now my kids are going to be nonni, like everything that my parents taught them, everything that I've instilled in them, and
Yeah.
our family, all the family in Italy still, they go and they just greet them like it's nothing is, oh, it's too hard. We're not going to go and catch him. We've got to go here or something. No, but everything stops when it comes to blood. My mother used to say, remember, you drink water, but you chew blood. And she was a wise woman.
Okay.
That means blood is thicker than water.
Mm. Okay.
And you've got to keep that like that.
Yeah.
So all these things that she used to say. And, I can see it in my kids, the way they're so very different, but they've got each other's back for life.
Yeah. So they're Aussie Italians, Aussie born, same as
Absolutely.
you, but that blood runs through them as well.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
so grateful. I'm so grateful that my dad made the sacrifice to come out I mean, he was quite well off in Italy, but it was being the spontaneous crazy man that he was. My uncle was his older brother was coming out, and he just overnight said, "Oh, I'm going to come too." So
I
my
love
mother and sister had to move back with her parents, and he came here and ended up in Wanneroo in it was where wild horses were, and they had a white sheet to pitch as a tent.
Mm.
But every Friday night, out of principle, he would wear his white suit and his white shirt, and he would walk the length because Sicily was a big, thriving city.
Yeah.
But he would do it on principle just to maintain what he would be doing back there. And all they go, oh, Dago and this and that. But my dad never took it personally.
Yeah.
Towards the end, he used to call Tony the Ding. He'd say, Tony the Ding. I'd say, Dad, don't answer the phone like that. Guess what?
Yeah, but like the word wog and all those kind of things
Yeah,
became very affectionate terms through my generation. I'm just 10
yeah,
years behind you.
yeah.
They become, and I would
100%.
hate to think I lived in a bloody whitey world that didn't have immigrants like
Yeah,
you. Oh my
yeah,
God, I'd hate my world. It would be so
yeah,
fucking
yeah,
boring.
yeah. Yeah, no,
It's been so
he
wonderful,
was
so
proud of it.
affectionate.
He was
Yeah,
proud of it. So
it
he
became
never took,
affectionate.
and nobody, I think nobody took it personally because it was just,
Yeah,
just that.
that Aussie thing that we put shit on people that we love the most.
Absolutely.
Strange thing that we do. I am curious, Nonna, apart
Yes.
from sticking your lunchbox at the post box down the corner on the way home from school every day because you didn't want to eat it at lunch at school and be seen as different, what's your funnest Aussie Italian memory?
My funnest Aussie Italian memory.
Yeah,
Oh, I'm going to tell you. I actually
come on.
found photos of this when we were all living in the street because my godfather was the first one, well, as far as we knew, Sicilian from Catania. And he then knew of these two Catanesi that were camping in Wanneroo. So he went and asked if he wanted, he had bought a house in Fitzgerald Street. They went and lodged with him. And then as the street grew and we had our own house and everything else, my godfather bought an ambulance. And the three, my dad, my uncle, one of my uncles, the others were, and my father, the three of them painted it with a paintbrush red. They gutted the inside and painted it red. So every weekend, the nonni, the mums, would have crates of food, like cook, and the three guys would be in the front seats. We had these bunk chairs on the side, down the center on either side of the ambulance, and we'd all pile in with all this crate of food, and we'd either go crabbing. We had a boat, dinghy boat on the roof, going crabbing in Mandurah, mushroom picking every weekend, fruit picking. We used to go into Kings Park to get the fallen pine cones. You can't do that now. The back of my uncle's ute, and we'd get all these pine cones, then we'd open them up over fire and have all these sticky hands to get the pine nut.
Oh, I
But
love
this is what we used to do. We'd go
it.
mushroom picking, then we'd go back to one of my uncles and have cook this mushrooms and have steak with mushrooms. Yeah, that age, that was today. It's quite fancy,
Yeah.
but and my auntie and auntie would make toffee apples, and it was just we had the best childhood. We'd
So
go down
rich.
to get mussels. And if we were too tired, we would just crash asleep and then Dad would carry us and then we'd go home. But
Ah.
we every weekend we were together, taking off in this ambulance. No seatbelts
Mm.
today, but we were just like the mums and the kids and laughing and singing along. And yeah,
It's a
we
rich
had a
life.
wonderful childhood.
Yeah. So, Nonna, every woman carries her wisdom differently. There's so
Yeah.
many ways that a wise woman kind of shows up. For you, what does being a wise woman, a Nonna, right here, right now in today's world, really mean for you?
Well, it's a legacy, and I have a lot of teaching yet to do. And the Christmas trees.
Yeah, I love your Christmas trees. This
Yeah,
woman, everybody, like it's the best Christmas house.
I
Only
love it.
16.
I love it.
I
I
love
love
it.
it. Every room is, I start from the outside right through, and it's something that gives me so much joy. I start a month early, and every tree I look at my things like, oh, my little new friend, I haven't seen you for 12 months, and I put them up. And it's 22 Christmas stockings and all the gifts. It is something, and the kids run in. They said last year, one of my grandsons, Mason, Nonna, you really, really have gone above and beyond this year. They love it. They love
Mm,
it. Sometimes they take part of the decorations home, and I let them. Santa goes out the door, a Rudolph goes out the door, but it's something that they will never forget.
mm.
What I do is because they will carry it on. And as it is, this year we haven't been able to go to Italy on when we were. This year's the first year that I won't be here for Christmas.
You'll be in Italy.
And we have flown out in Boxing Day, but this year my son said, Mum, you've just got to do it.
Mm,
Because he went back 3 years with his family, but I decorated the entire house just for them. I
mm,
even left the panettone, and he said it was the best Christmas, just Christmas Day. He was explaining it. He said, you just got to do it, Mum. So
mm,
we are. But upstairs, I've got all this Christmas stockings hanging. I'm filling them. I'm on a time frame. I've got my list till the 20th September. All the gifts have got to be bought, all the vouchers, everything else, because I made the boys stockings when they were born. So
mm,
I quilted them and I hand embroidered. They're not very big. And I hand embroidered their names. Now, Daniel next weekend turns 48, and he
mm.
has had this stocking. He said, Mum, you will leave the stockings, won't you? I went, sure. Of course, of course. It's going to be weird. It's my first Christmas without them, but I know that we've got to seize this moment as well.
Yeah,
So, and
this
they're
is.
all getting together. That's it. That's all I asked, is that
Mm,
they will still continue the tradition of our Christmas.
they will. So I'm
Yeah.
curious, what's the most important thing we haven't talked about yet that we should talk about being a nonna?
Um,
I missed.
I think, well, I've got a little thing of things I put down. We talked about love, we talked about values, we talked about respect, attitude once again, culture, community. One thing, there's a little thing here. There's a saying in Italy, it goes, dolce fa niente. It means the sweetness of doing nothing. And I
Mm,
think people need to slow down and just embrace what you have already instead of like, the other thing is we here, you're actually constantly, you live to work, whereas they work to live, the Italian community. Like in our little village, August, we're peak of summer, most of the restaurants, everyone goes to the beach. They don't care what money
everything's
they're leaving
closed.
behind. The restaurants alternate 2 days here, 2 days there, because they go to the beach. My hairdresser goes down to the beach, comes back, does Friday, Saturday, goes back to the beach. You understand? Life is precious and is to be lived. And the other observation that, like, if you go to a restaurant at lunchtime and the bank's just shut and everything else, people who come in, either sometimes a group of friends, but even if the bank manager comes in on his own, he sits at a table. He's not on his phone. They bring him his little 3-course meal. He's sitting there quietly eating, and then he has the espresso, puts his jacket up, does his button, and he walks out. And it fascinates me, Jen.
It's a way of
They
being, isn't it?
don't need to read a paper. They don't look magazine. It's because they believe in digestion. The Italians are so about digestion. You have to be sitting, you have to be calm. That's why they don't believe in milk after 11 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
Have your cappuccino in the morning, but after 11 o'clock, oh my God, and you never have milk on top of a meal, like a pizza or whatever. That's like they go crazy. They think you're going to have a fit or something. And it's all about, and it's, if we could just see, stop a moment and reflect on how we live our life
Mm.
and how insane it is. And for what?
Mm.
How does it make you feel? How is your heart full or is it depleted at night? Are
Mm.
you stressed or are you peaceful? Remember, we're having our swimming pool built, but do you know what? It's only taken 4 years because in Tuscany, you can't just put up a building. You can buy a ruin, but you build exactly the dimensions of the ruin.
Mm.
So nobody's going to put a high rise. And to make sure that the pool, I had to go into the comune with like 3 times to promise them that nothing is going to be touched on the land. No one
Mm.
would know that there's something foreign that doesn't belong there.
Yeah.
And that's how you get the permit.
Mm.
But
It's respect for everything, isn't it?
it's respect. You can't cut cypress trees, you get a fine.
Mm.
The other thing is we have in our little village rubbish collection 5 times a week.
Mm.
Monday, it's organic, so we've got land, so we've got 2 green bins that is just all organic. On Tuesday, you've got paper and cardboard. That's
Yeah.
on Wednesday, plastics. And these bags have got our barcode. Plastic, you can put aluminium and various things. Then you have another organic. And on Friday, the smallest bin, it's about this big. That's for odds and ends if you want to
Like
throw a pair of
landfill.
shoes. But if you mix your rubbish,
Mm.
you get a fine.
Mm.
If you cut a cypress tree down, you get a fine. Unless it falls or it's sick, you get a fine.
Mm. Yeah.
And the little truck comes down, goes down this way. The street is so narrow, and then he has to back all the way up. He gets out, picks the thing. Is none of these automatic things, and that's another thing why they're so healthy,
Yeah.
because they're active all the time.
It's way different, isn't it?
Yeah,
Mm.
there's the elderly are on push bikes in the village, but everyone works. They work still in the grapevines. They're going into the town. I used to love this guy on a frame. And I knew he was in the vineyard when I'd see the frame on the side of the path, and he'd be there tending to the grapes. It's healthily living, darling.
Yeah, it is. Well, it's close to nature. It's the way we're
Yeah.
meant to be in flow with nature. Yeah.
Yeah. And nothing is perfect.
No, no. And they're not hung up about shit not being perfect. They're not in a hurry.
But that's why they come to Tuscany and we go up to the medieval village that is over thousands of years old, and people fall in love and take photos of a plant growing out of the wall and
Mm.
the imperfections. People love
Mm.
it. But coming back to Australia, if there's a crack in their house, it has to be done.
Yeah.
Our house is 500 years old.
Your Tuscan house. It's crazy cool.
Yes.
Eh? Yeah.
And the imperfections, but people love the
I love it. Yeah.
imperfections.
Well, what a vibe. Those walls could tell some stories. Um,
Absolutely.
I'm curious if you could go with the wisdom you have today as you are 73, if you went back to your 18-year-old self, what piece of advice would you give her?
Oh, wow. I would I would definitely say get my passport earlier.
Your Italian passport? Yep.
Yeah, get that earlier. But also this will make me feel a bit sad, but if I was talking to my 18-year-old self, I would spend as much time I could with my parents and learning more of their wisdom. That's what I would do.
Mm.
I would, when you're 18, it's all about yourself and it's just day by day, really. You don't know about the future.
Mm.
But yeah, I'd spend more time in the kitchen with my mum,
Mm.
you know. Yeah. but we were so blessed, so blessed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm. Well, I'm blessed and our listeners are blessed for being able to have this time with you this morning. I want to thank you for that from the deepest part of my heart. It made me cry thinking about you. I love you dearly.
I love
I
you
love
too.
the influence you've had on my life and helping me see the importance of community. It's been
Yeah,
huge. So
it
thank
is. Do you know what? It's the only thing. This
you.
is
Yeah.
legacy. Money will come and go.
Yeah. I have
But
to wipe my eyes.
if you don't equip the kids with the right tools to go on, what have you given them?
Yeah.
The values, the love, the purpose, the meaning of it all.
Mm.
The meaning of it all. Yeah.
Well,
But this has been so fun talking to you.
yeah.
I've even forgotten that we were recorded, but these are conversations you and I have always shared.
Yeah.
But
And I really wanted to share them. And truly, you are one of the inspirations for me. My having a nonna in you is something that I know a lot of people don't have, and that I wanted to share that with people. So you're part of my inspiration for creating this podcast.
thank you,
Thank you.
darling. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. I can't wait to see you and give you a real hug soon.
Yeah, we will.
And I'm waiting for you in Tuscany. You did say
I
that.
know. Alice and I will be over for sure. We promise.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we will.
Thank
And in the meantime, if anyone wants to follow Irene, you can find her I'll put the link in the show notes, but you can follow Irene on Facebook and you can see some of the amazing photos of that 500-year-old villa in Tuscany where they live 6 months of the year. Thank
you.
you, my dear friend.
Thank you. Love you, Jen.
Love you too. Bye.
Bye, darling. Bye.